Green podcast, roll another fat one, puffing on that first class green. Take another puff, puff, hey, drifting the clouds up and away. Hear all about cannabis, horticulture, plus cultivation, news and entertainment. Not forgetting Datty, the cute Dalmatian. Grow green is so amazing. We do massive dabs, not talking about the dance move. Grow green, put your lighters on, my dude. Hash oil, and it's so great. Smoke cannabis every single day. We do massive dabs, not talking about the dance move. Grow green, put your lighters on, my dude. Hash oil, get that high grade. Smoke cannabis every single day, yo. Grow green, grow green, grow green, grow green.
Hello out there, this is CJ Stone.
And this is Eric Reed.
You're tuning in to the Grow Green Podcast.
Thank you for tuning in today.
All the way from Alaska.
Oh, we're in Alaska?
Yeah.
Okay.
So today on the show, we're going to give some shout-outs to
Oh, that was the real intro?
Green Thumb Guard.
There's not going to work.
Supplying us for all our growing needs. 3 Beans for always dropping off nugs of goodness. Matt Niska High at CA to AK Genetics.
For those seed packs.
For seed packs.
Which we're still waiting on some entries for you guys.
And also, thank you,
now that
listeners.
Some Alaskans... Sorry.
Go ahead.
Now that some Alaskans are finally listening, maybe you guys can get on that seed pack entry. Scroll back a few videos or listen to the first ones and you'll see we're giving away some seeds from CA to AK.
Yeah, there's a
Genetics.
YouTube video. I'll tell you how to do it. Check it out. I'm going to be polling that video soon. So get on there and hurry up and get your entry in.
Better get on
before
it.
we pick
Don't
a winner.
Don't sleep on it, man. Those are some good
You
beans.
snooze, you fucking lose. Too hard?
Ooh.
My bad.
Right on, guys. Well, we're going to continue with our series today. We're going to roll right into doing... we're not going to go, like, super heavy into it, like, apparently some other places you guys can look for really deep definitions of what we might be talking about, but we're just going to touch on
For the newbie
basic
grower
lighting.
out there, basic talk about lighting and what you need
just to
in
just
your
to
grow
clear
room,
your mind.
your grow tent.
Yeah, well, when you go into the grow shop, and so you don't get confused with all those terms they throw around like HID, HPS, MH, UMOL, PPF. You know what I'm saying? A little bit of confusion there sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So it plays into not being able to understand everything. So we're going to try to clarify some of that. Maybe you can understand a little bit more, but if you want to dig too deep, there's always Google.
Mm-hmm. You got Dottie in the background there,
Dottie
making some noise. She likes to
wants
be
to
on the
be on the
podcast.
She wants to talk. She needs her own mic.
Yeah, we'll have to get another mic over there.
All right, guys. So first up, if you guys are already have been listening with this so far, or if you haven't and you're at the point where you're ready to pick out what kind of lights you're going to use in your situation, kind of you already have an idea, hopefully. So there's a few factors you have to consider. Is going to be heat, the amount of light output,
The space you have.
yeah, the electricity you're going to be using. How much money do you want to spend on electricity? The more electricity you use and the more power you put into it, for the most part, you're going to get a better production, in my opinion. You're going to get more off of it. So, what are you using for a light right now?
I'm not using shit right now, but what I was using was one of those old school or LEDs with the fancy blue and pink lights.
Oh yeah, the red and
The
blue
platinum,
style.
I think it is.
Platinum.
That was for my vegger light.
Very similar to the Kind LEDs or Mars Hydro, Galaxy. We could go on and on. All the same, basically, in my opinion. They all use those same LEDs. Maybe not the exact same, but same style. Red and blue spectrum LEDs.
And then in my flowering 5x5 tent, I had a Dominator triple XL 1000 watter
Oh,
dimmable for those hot days.
nice. That's high pressure sodium, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And that works real good for flower. High pressure sodium has got more of the redder spectrum, so it produces kind of a denser bud. It fills out a bud. When you're using it for veg, though, which is not, I wouldn't suggest to do, but it'll cause the plant to stretch more and be a little bit more distance between the nodes. So it's usually preferred for vegetative state that you use some more of the blue spectrum lights, closer to around the higher Kelvin numbers are going to be the bluer spectrum. So 4500 up until 7500 would be good veg, probably.
Yeah, so you kind of want blue for vegging if you're not using an LED, or you can get away with the T5 light, right?
Right.
Even cheaper option.
T5 is definitely the cheapest option if you're trying to start off on a budget. You know what I mean? But nowadays, some of the if you're one of those guys that kind of a nerdy geek like us, get on the internet and you can find LED kits that would do the job or close to a T5 for similar costs if that's the way you want to go. So some of those older LEDs that are the red and blue spectrum, they're not bad for veg, but I wouldn't flower under any of them. So high pressure sodium is definitely the way to go for flower. I think that if you wanted to be some of the newer technology, because you're talking on a budget right here. That's what we're talking right now.
Yeah, usually your newer grower isn't going to come in wanting to plop down a large sum. They kind of want to get their toes wet.
Right. So
Most commonly, they come in here with like about $500 trying to get a complete setup going. And with that low of a budget, you really can't.
Unless you have a room already picked with you haven't had to pay for a tent.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
You already have a room that you can exhaust air and you could make it completely dark somehow. That you can.
$500 would
and go pretty far.
Probably do it. Yeah, up here in Alaska, but you're still going to be working with some of the lower end stuff. You're not going to be using some of that newer technology, stuff like that. Ceramic metal halide would be some of the newer technology. It's a little more expensive right now, but there's some lights out there that are, in the $300 price point range.
What lights do you use? I told them about my setup.
So right now I have at a couple of different places I'm helping people with their grow and stuff. I have a Veg 8 and minis up, the Next Lights LEDs. Those are the fuller spectrum LED, and they're more white kind of looking, you know what I mean? They're not like the red and blue older to style, and they're more of like tiny LEDs in a panel, so they spread the light out pretty well. But I wouldn't flower with those. For flowering, I'm still using right now 1,000 watt high pressure sodium. Same light you are basically on a track, and it's running back and forth for my personal garden. A couple of other people that I have got going, they're flowering with 600 watt high pressure sodium with eco hoods, just basic, your basic hoods.
It really comes down to how much and how big you want to grow. That's going to be determining by how much, because you can get away with 400 watts if you just are growing small little bushes.
Yeah, if you have like a small closet, and when I say small closet, I don't mean like one of those closets that has the opening doors that slide. You know what I mean? Something at least 4 feet by 5 feet or some bigger. You could put in there eco hood with like a 600 watt metal halide and high pressure sodium switchable ballast. So that would be my suggestion as far as that goes, for economy wise, and you'll still produce a good amount of stuff without having to switch lights. If you were to use T5s though, then you could do the T5s and you could use that for your veg later on. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Because 600 watts you can get pretty cheap, even online or at your grow shop or local grow shop. They're probably a couple $100. You can get a whole setup for a 600 watt digital ballast with a hood.
I'd almost, if you're going to go that route, go ahead and get one of the double-ended optimized 1,000 watts that you can dim down to use 600s, and then if you'd want to upgrade to one of the 630 ceramic metal halides or just use the 1,000 watt HPS, you have the ability to do that later on.
Yeah, exactly. And in an open room, that's kind of where I like to push people to, is you can always turn it down, or you can never upgrade what you have, but you can always turn it down for the most part on the newer ballast. So it's really helpful. So, hey, can you pause it for a second?
Yeah, we'll go take a fat dab break here.
CJ Stone and Eric Weed on the Green Grow Podcast.
And we're back.
Oh yeah, back again, back in action. Right
So,
on.
what lights?
So, yeah.
do you,
High pressure sodium for flowering is definitely, in my opinion, the best right now.
still
Ceramic
think
metal
there's
halide.
LEDs out there that can do
There's
as
some
well as the
LEDs.
HPS.
No, hey, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all. But cost wise,
Yeah,
we're
you're gonna
working
have
on
to
a
spend
budget. Yeah.
a good amount of money to get
There's some
something that's
LEDs
gonna-
out there that will rock it. But I hate to say this, but it's not one of those red and blue LEDs.
Yeah, and unless you know what you're doing and can build that kind of stuff, which is a viable option, go check out Girl Mouse. He's doing it. YouTube
Right.
some of his stuff. I mean, other than
The do-it-yourself kits is what I was talking about earlier too.
yeah.
There's some of those for like $100-$150, and you can do it yourself. And
But
it
to
makes
get like
a
the
big
serious
difference.
like HPS level 1,000 watt and higher LED systems that you can make, I can't.
Well, I mean,
I can't follow along.
yeah,
with that
and
kind of
even if
stuff.
you were just not even making it yourself, on average, it's like $1,400 to $1,700 for some of the name brands. Like
Right.
there's Nextlight, Spectrum, King. There's a bunch. Those are a couple of good ones that I know of. There's Fluent or Spider Lights. Those guys all make really good LEDs, but you're gonna be the price point is $1,400 is gonna be your lowest on most of those for something that's gonna compare to what you would get for like $400 in your grow shop.
Right. So that's kind of why most people are still sticking with the HPSers, which is
The only downside
Tried and
is
true.
you have to change the bulb every so often. So eventually the cost of the HPS will catch up to the cost of the LED, but it's, how long is it, how much is it worth it to you? And then there's the heat too. You got to consider if you have a situation where you're in a situation in the lower 48, they have situations where it's too hot, so they can't run high pressure sodium bulbs, 1,000 watts in enclosed areas like we do. You know what I mean? Indoors. So they end up having to go with another option, which is like LED. So if that's your situation, then that's what you got to do. You might have to switch over to T5s or figure out another way. But we're talking about up here where it's pretty chilly most of the year. You don't have anything over 80 degrees.
how often do you change your bulbs, Mr. Eric Weed?
I do it usually like every 3 grows. It's probably not as much as a lot of people, but about every 3. I know some people that change it every other. I know some people that don't change it but once a year. I know some people that have been rocking the same bulb forever.
Some just don't like to waste money and will rack it till it doesn't glow anymore.
Yeah, and then they come in and they're like, "Oh, I need something, nutrients to make my weed bigger." I'm like, what did you change? And I haven't changed anything. I don't know what's going on. I haven't changed anything. Well, maybe you should change your bulb. So, every 3 goes is kind of an ideal amount in my opinion for high pressure sodium. If we're talking metal halide and you're just vegging with it, probably once every 6 months, I would say, is a good call on that one because you're hitting it out at 18 hours a day. Good rule of thumb.
Sounds about right.
Some of the other bulbs are going to have different times. Ceramic metal halides, I'm not 100% sure on that, but I know they have a little bit longer life. The LEDs, some of them have 10-year life. T5s probably last, I don't know, 3 months to 6 months, but probably closer to 3, depending on how often you're running it. 24 hours a day, probably 3 months. For optimal. We're talking optimal here.
Optimal usage. You can get away with some shit, but your shit's gonna
Yeah.
look like some shit too.
Yeah, it's going to be like, why is my shit not making clones anymore? I'm not getting roots. What's going on? So let's talk about cloning too. What would you use for cloning
Cloning.
for lights?
Oh, lights for cloning. For clones, you don't need much.
Right.
Depends. You can get away with your room light sometimes.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly. But if you're a new gardener out there, something you're not gonna want to do is just put your light right down on top of your clones there. If it's a high pressure sodium,
You
or,
could put too much light on clones.
pressure
Way
is not even
easier
good.
than not enough light.
Mhm.
Sure.
That is for sure. Man, there's some good coffee we got here. Thanks. For
Shout
making
out to the coffee cup place.
Yeah. Makes that good dank espressos. Goes good with my morning rosin dabs. Speaking of rosin dabs, how's that rosin bomb working out for you?
Rosin bomb. It's working for me. It's,
Yeah.
producing my meds very nicely. You just sit there at home, plug it into the old wall. It heats right up. Press the button up. Squeeze it out. The juices flow. I press the button down. And then I unleash the parchment. And I go, holy crap, holy. I did this myself. Pretty nice.
Yeah, and then you just roll it all up. The
Yeah,
whole thing
roll
and
it all
smoke
up
it
my
one
dabber.
dab.
Got about 1.5 grams on the dab stick there, and I just shove it right in my little banger and watch it disappear.
You haven't got one of those thermal bangers yet, have you?
No.
The Chinese thermal bangers. Those things are pretty cool. You see all those dab skip baller guys doing the huge 4 gram globs with those things. Bigger.
It's a little excessive.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all
So let's
fun.
move in. So yeah, high pressure sodium. You got high pressure sodium, metal halide. Those are both going to be ran on like a digital ballast. Ceramic metal halides, you're going to need a special ballast for those for the most part, unless you're running our what are those called? The Grower's Choice makes a double-ended conversion bulb.
Ooh,
Those are
yeah.
pretty sweet.
Those are hot right now.
Those are super hot right now, and they are. I've seen some of the stuff that they are putting out. They are producing people for 600 watts. Only be putting into a double-ended unit. So you have to have the whole scoop on those is you have to have a digital double-ended compatible ballast that'll be able to be dimmed down to 600 watts. And they really like the Galaxy Select-A-Watt ballasts. So that's what we've been running them on. And those things are rocking. The spectrum that they're putting out is super cool. It has 2 of the 315 elements inside of a double-ended bulb. So it's burning one from each end. Pretty cool, man. Convertible. What do you think about those?
I want to start
ceramic
fucking with
halide?
them.
Yeah.
I want to start fucking with them. They're
Man,
cool,
this
man.
coffee's so good. Yeah, I really like those.
I feel they're a
bulbs.
lot more efficient.
I'd like to get, I have the one room for my personal grow with the 1,000 watt on a track, and I'd like to put 3 of those ceramic metal halide 315s in there. I think that would be ideal because then it would cover the space a little bit better. So, a lot of what you pick in your room has to do with the amount of space you have available and what you want to do with it. The best thing to do is sit down and make a layout. All the lights, they're all different and they have specs set up for them. You know what I mean? You could look it online, like for instance, if you go to Nextlight or you go to Spectrum King or you go to, I don't know, any of the big dealers, Nanolux, Galaxy, any of those people, Sun Systems, all those ones that make their hoods and their ballasts, they give you specs on it. And so you can look up how big the footprint is on it, and that'll tell you how much area it covers. So that you can figure how many you need. Do you know what I mean? So that's the best way to do it. And then when you have an idea how big of a footprint you want to cover, you can pick out the light you want. So that's your first step. If you're not working in a tent, then it's pretty easy because you have to just grab whatever fits in the tent and kind of covers that footprint, you know what I mean? So, right on. I don't know, does that answer your question at all?
Oh, I was zoning out, man. Sorry. What were you talking about?
You're zoned
I'm
out.
stoned.
CJ Stone.
It's the Grow Green Podcast. The Grow Green Podcast. This is the Grow Green Podcast. The Grow Green Podcast.
Ooh, and we're back. Disappeared
That
on
was
you.
a way good one.
Ooh,
Good
anyways,
dab. Feeling way better.
Now that we've been talking about HPSs and hugging on their horseback riding gear for a little while, let's
Right.
talk about
For the budget guys, that's what we're talking about mostly, though.
sorry, getting a little fired up about it.
Right on. So let's move right into. Let's talk about some of the different ceramic metal halide stuff.
Ceramic metal halides, we haven't talked about them. What are they? Ceramic metal halides are like a variation of metal halides with a little more HPS added. They have a ceramic arc tube in them, which operate at higher pressures, which allow a more precise variation on the spectrum. Something kind of like that.
So you get a fuller spectrum out of those.
Yeah,
That's
as
the-
opposed to like
We had mentioned those are
HPS
the
is
same
spread.
elements that are inside the Grower's Choice double-ended conversion bulbs that we were talking about.
yeah, pretty cool.
Those are cooler. I like the full spectrum.
Yeah, they got a more balanced spectrum. They got they're gonna last a lot longer than your metal halide standard bulbs. They're gonna have lower heat output per watt, and they're gonna prevent stretching a whole lot more than your metal halide bulb would.
From what I've seen, gram per watt wise, for the most part, what people are producing is very on par with a higher wattage bulb of high pressure sodium for flower too. If you're using the 3Ks, the 4Ks work as well, and you can run those all the way through. Those are really nice spectrum as well. I think they have a fuller spectrum. We were looking at some of those the other day, and I had noticed that the 4K actually has a larger spectrum, but the 3K has a higher red and yellow, so it makes sense for those to be used if you're going to specifically have different rooms. I probably run the 3Ks myself. So we hadn't mentioned the 10K. You know, there is also 10K bulbs and higher Kelvin bulbs that are higher in the blue spectrum, and those help with producing resin and the UV output pretty high on those as well. Do you want to jump into the different types of ceramic metal halide stuff that you know of? Some of the new one we talked about, Grower's Choice. There's not a whole lot of them out there right
Not
now.
really. I mean, bulb-wise, Philips makes some stuff, I guess.
Philips is the best one, right? From what I have heard, I think Philips makes the best bulbs
I
so
hear
far.
Ushio is
But
got something out there. I really don't know everything.
I'd like to try. I'm gonna try out the Grower's Choice one. They're sending us one to try out, and I'm gonna give it a go. I'm gonna put it on top of some peppers or something. Compare it to, say, I don't know. I have a Nextlight Mini too, but it's probably a little bit higher output, so it uses twice as much energy consumption there. Oh man, this
All
is
right.
excellent coffee.
Coffee. I
Coffee's
got
super
weed in my
tasty.
coffee. There's weed in my coffee. Oh, sorry about that.
You got weed in your coffee this morning?
I always got weed in my coffee this morning.
Oh yeah, so shout out to the lady who brought us the freaking jar of coconut oil that has the weed in it.
Ooh,
Thank you very much.
Shout out.
I don't know she's a
Yeah, so sorry if we're rambling a little bit today. It might have something to do with it.
rambling.
Rambling.
You're rambling?
I'm gonna just start rambling.
Oh man. So let's talk. So ceramic metal halide. That honestly, I have seen higher gram per watt or equal gram per watt put out on a ceramic metal halide. So yes, you're right, Eric. For the time that it makes, the amount of energy that it uses versus the output, it definitely does a better job. You know what I mean? So if you had 1,000 watts of ceramic metal halide and you had 1,000 watts of high pressure sodium, then you would definitely get probably more off of the ceramic metal halide for a fuller spectrum.
That's the argument, right? Ceramic metal halide versus HPS.
Right, and they've come down in price. Like the Grower's Choice one's $299 with a bulb. I know that the Sun System makes a really nice one that's got a remote ballast on it though, so that's a big advantage. If you wanted to move the ballast away from the actual fixture.
If you could
So you
afford
can
it, I'd say run both ceramic metal halide as a base lighting and then use high pressure sodium as your additional added red light to get that big yield from the red
So
bulb.
like 1,000 watt in the middle of a big room and 6 or 9 of the ceramic halides
Yeah.
all the way around the outside.
That'd be awesome.
Just light that whole bitch up.
Beautiful.
What do you think you could have in there? CJ Stone?
Some daisies, some cucumbers, and
Daisies and cucumbers.
my two
Some-
faves.
Some buena
Some
mulatas.
Yuma mulatas,
Yeah, baby. Get some buena mulatas.
some trees, some mamba jambas up in
Some
there.
Mama
motherfucker.
Java's up in that motherfucker, right? Right on. Yeah.
Alright.
Let's move into some of the bulbs. There's a lot of bulbs out there. We're not going to get super deep, but we should touch on the different types of bulbs that are out there. High pressure sodium, ceramic metal halide, obviously. High pressure sodium is going to be more of the red spectrum. We kind of already mentioned that. Ceramic metal halide is going to be your fuller spectrums to try to make a little bit more of this crazy thing they call growing makes sense to you. There's a 4500K bulb, and those are going to be closer to the ceramic metal halide color. I don't know if they have that quite that full a spectrum, but they look the same. They're more of a white light. And then there's going to be 2700K, going to be your high pressure sodium with your reds. 5000K, it's going to go all the way through. Different brands are going to have different sizes, different amounts, and all claim different spectrums. So, in my opinion, if you're trying to find the best ceramic metal halide bulb, Philips is the way to go. If you're trying to find the best metal halide bulb for doing 600s, I don't think they have 1000 watt, but the Hilux Ushio bulb, that's my favorite one. A lot of people prefer the Hortilux Eye Red bulbs for the flowering. I personally am just using a cheapy knockoff Ultrasun high output bulb. It's working just almost as good. So you just gotta try what you have out there available and see what happens.
In the fall, this is way over your head, and you're just looking to get those toes wet. Just get that simple T5 and throw it up for both.
Right.
I mean, that's pretty cheap.
Like we had talked about on the budget. Even a cheap LED would work if you didn't have a whole lot of money. The cost of the LEDs, some of the older ones, the red and blue ones, But just know when you buy one of those, this thing that they call growing is so addicting that you're going to end up
buying all the expensive shit anyway, because you're going to be looking at people's Instagrams and being like, fuck, I want my shit to look like that.
I want to grow Bomba Jambas too.
My T5
like
ain't doing this shit.
Exactly right. Yeah, like I said, we're not going to touch too far on the bulbs, but just remember, the lower the number, the more red or flowering spectrum it's going to put off, People out there, we talk to people all the time, and they're like, "Oh, I use one bulb, and I'm using the ceramic metal. I'm using the metal halide bulb and flower." I'm like, dude, it's probably why your bud's so airy. It's like they don't even think about it. They don't even understand. So, trying to make that a little more clear for the people out there. Probably none of those people listen to us, but either way, they should. They should take rosin dabs, drink coffee, and get on a podcast and do some work too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, pretty tasty. Finally got to that sugar in the bottom of my cup. It's I love that part. When you get to the bottom, it's all like syrupy.
I don't put any of that shit in my coffee. Oh, you mean your butter? I thought you were talking about like your sweet and lows and your milky creamers you put in there.
Oh, the butter floats. I drank that first. Mm. It was like the cube of sugar that I threw in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Sweetness.
What do you got going on this weekend? Anything in Alaska? Any cool cannabis events or anything? Local?
I'm thinking about going to the Dabitizer. What are you thinking about?
What's the Dabitizer? For the people listening, if you don't know.
It's an event that it probably won't be. They'll probably be over by the time this is all put up and everything, but just to let people know what is going on, that it is a local pot club, I guess, that you have to be a member of, and you go there. So it's basically a private club, and you have to be a member. And in Alaska, the law is you can have up to 1 ounce of cannabis on you for your personal consumption at any time. So, I think there's certain stipulations to that, but you can ingest it or consume it in a private residence.
You must be 21 or older to enter or consume.
21 or older, yes, definitely. It's not the 18. It's not like when I was a kid and over in Canada, it was legal for 18 and above.
Yeah, 19 and above. Man, it's downer today.
Was I super downer today? It's not downer. It's called dabbed.
Oh, hey,
Hey!
Here it's gonna be live at the Dabatizer 2.0. The Potluck Events is proud to announce the return and upgrade of the Dabatizer
shit, here it
Showdown. Not
goes.
only can you earn bragging rights and memberships, but the grand prize includes a night stay at Elieska and dinner for two at the Lift House. We listen to our members, so this year's entries will be judged anonymously, and votes will be verified to ensure fairness. Dab stations will be numbered and feature glass and Dabatizee.
So we went
Check it
last
out.
year. So I went last year. You went last year.
It was all right.
Yeah, it was cool. And it was probably more cool for us than a lot of people, I think, because we know a lot of the people there. You know, we're within the community, and so we know a lot of people that are around there and what's going on. But I think it was definitely judged as more of a popularity contest, people think, and I have to agree with that to some extent. And it wasn't really planned that way, I don't think. It's just something that, you can't control when you have a majority of the community within that area. You know what I mean? It's just something that happens. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm. I think I get it. So this one's going to be judged a little more fairly, more anonymously kind of thing.
Apparently so. Anonymously. I can't. So you can tell I'm dabbed out. See, this is not down.
Dab
This is
stations
dabbed.
will be numbered and will feature glass and dab tenders provided by local names required on voting cards. Cards will require a stamp from the station for the vote to be counted. Scores will be based off an average of votes submitted. Contestants will be announced after all votes have been submitted and can explain their process while we count votes. Ooh, that's cool. Explain their process
Explain their process.
of how they made their concentrates.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's cool. I'd like to see some of that. I know that there's going to be some of the people we know there. Not sure if I'm going to make it or not, but that is the plan.
Yeah, we'll
So,
see.
yeah.
Might be too stoned to make it out.
You never know. It's one of those things that you just can't help but do what happens. Whatever happens, happens type of things. You know what I mean? So, what about you? How's the rosin bomb going?
That's probably my weekend is going to consist of.
Mm-hmm.
Me just kind of groping my rosin bomb, slowly squeezing out precious, delicious juice essential oils hidden inside those nuggets. Too far?
Oh man, hey, you put a lot of love into those nuggets, so you might as well enjoy squishing them like you do. So I don't have any problem with that. Yeah, I thought the anonymous judging at the Dabatizer is going to be definitely a step up. I think we've kind of covered everything as far as lighting goes that we really want to dig too deep. Hoods, we could touch on some hoods. Some of the hoods that you could get, they make a few different types of
Air
hoods.
cooled versus you're just sit above and heat up the room.
Yeah, air cooled hoods. So you have if you had a heat issue with like 1,000 watt or something, you could run an air cooled hood that has attachment on both sides for ducting, and you'd have to have a fan. Obviously you're probably going to be running a carbon filter for smell anyway. So it makes it just one more connection, and you can run it right through your fan and carbon filter setup, which makes it really convenient. Or you can run an open hood and you can just run a carbon filter directly out with a fan. But they make a few different types of hood. They make hoods that spread the light out. They make hoods that are more penetrating hoods that you can kind of get deep down in your canopy. You might use the ones to spread your light out if you're wanting to run, say, a scrog or a netted system where you strip everything off the plant all the way up to the net and then let it flower from there up. You know what I'm saying? You're running full plants though, right? When you're flowering?
Excuse me?
Full size plants. You don't strip it all off, really, for the most part, right?
I'd get rid of all the lower stuff that I knew would be larvae crap.
Just a little crap that's not gonna make anything.
Lollipop kind of thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. Do you ever defoliate?
Yes.
At what point do you do that?
I do it all the way up until about week 2 or 3 in flowering. Just trying to slowly getting away the bigger families and get the buds more exposure while still keeping a good amount for that photosynthesis to happen, of course.
Gotcha. I see. Right on. Yeah, so they make a lot of different hoods that you do different types of uses. So keep in mind, when you go to your local grow shop, there's going to be a lot of options. There's open hoods, there's penetrating hoods, there's air-cooled hoods. But basically, like I said before, you can just look on the manufacturer's spec sheet, either on the box or in the magazine or online, and it'll tell you what the footprint is for that specific hood. And that'll help you make a decision on what you need for the hood and the lights. So, right on, man. Well, we're not going to dig too far into anything else, but I'm about ready to go take a fat dab.
Oh, fatty.
Finish this cup of coffee, and we'll probably come back and try to do another episode this coming week, a little bit quicker than last week, and jump right into a few other things. I know CJ Stone has a few more things he wants to say, but
I'm going to tell you some
I'm going to
things.
sit back and drink my coffee.
So go ahead and go to growgreenpodcast.com. Check us out on Instagram, the Grow Green Podcast. Check out our YouTube channel, Grow Green Podcast, and we're on Twitter, Grow Green Cast. We have a giveaway going on, a YouTube video up, Grow Green Podcast Seed Giveaway number 1. Go ahead and watch that video if you are in Alaska, and you need to enter, because I'm going to take that bitch down soon, and I'm giving some motherfucking seeds away.
Yep, get your chance to get in while you can, because there's quite a few packs up there. We're gonna randomly pick one and throw it out there to one lucky winner. Then we're gonna probably right after that we're gonna put up some other sort of giveaway that involves another local Alaskan, and we'll also have a giveaway at the same time for a lucky listener that is not in Alaska. So stay tuned. All right, guys, we're out of here. Huh?
Episode 4 of the Grow Green Podcast. Peace out.
Peace out.
Yo, it's the Grow Green Podcast. Roll another fat one, puffing on that first class green. Take another puff, puff, hey. Drifting the clouds up and away. Hear all about cannabis, horticulture, plus cultivation, news and entertainment. Not forgetting Datty, the cute Dalmatian. Grow Green is so amazing. We do massive dabs, not talking about the dance move. Grow Green, put your lighters on, my dude. Hash joy, your linen's so great. Smoke cannabis every single day. We do massive dabs, not talking about the dance move. Grow Green, put your lighters up, my dude. Hash joy, you'll get that high grade. Smoke cannabis every single day, yo. Grow Green.